G'day, this is Captainoob, and this is a Ron HK416. Not really sure what Ron is all about, but I do know what a HK416 is. It's a German-made rifle with the AR-15 design. What makes this thing different from your standard American M4s is they've taken the short gas stroke piston system from a G36 and plugged it into this thing, which makes it different. Maybe it handles better or is more reliable. I don't know. I'm not a gun expert. I'm a roof plumber. Anyways, so this weapon requires the Mark 18 mod, as well as a couple of other mods, which I'll be looking to link in the description, as well as putting up on screen, as you've probably already seen them. But there was a little bit of controversy surrounding this mod when I first did it, because I recorded this video last night as of this recording, and I looked on the mod page after just to check out whether I'm missing a few mods to get the textures in, and there's a couple of modders in the comment section saying, hey, these assets are stolen, please credit us or ask for permission. So what they've done, the mod author has actually made the weapon require whatever mods it was pilfering, mods as in like attachments it was pilfering from the other ones. So now I think it's all square, it's all good. I can look at this without feeling guilt of, I guess, showing something off that really shouldn't exist. So that's all good now. So yes, Mark 18 mod, that's the main one this is based off of. We're balanced to about a vanilla game assault rifle levels of damage, so it should be fairly decently powerful, but it's got a high rate of fire and the recoil is low, so I think we'll be fine to shoot out a lot of people without too many issues. As long as we're accurate, we'll be fine. And the animations we've seen before. A couple of cool animations. The bash one, I think, is pretty excellent in first person. But let's get to attachments. Like the vanilla game assault rifle, you can have this thing set up for a commando or rifleman-based approach with semi-auto and automatic versions alike. So we'll start off with this thing being automatic, but we'll definitely grab a semi-auto version, throw a scope on it, and we'll be able to utilize Sniper Rank 2, which will allow us to knock down enemies really fast because it'll have a quite fast rate of fire. Now you can throw on an attachment on the lower rail in the form of a grip, an angled grip or a magpul grip. Take your pick. I don't think they're too much different. We'll do an angled grip because when I used to use this thing in Battlefield 4, it was called the M416 in that game. I used to use an angled grip on it and I used to tap fire all the time like an idiot. Anyways, next up, we've got the sights. You can have a version of the, that's a little Aerotech sight, is it? Yes, with a magnifier on, and then I'm pretty sure there's a version with a magnifier here. But as you can see with these scopes, some of these textures aren't loaded in properly, or maybe some of the materials, and you'll tell that because there's a giant glowing purple thing underneath that scope there. So yeah, I'm missing in a requirement somewhere, but I've got everything the mod author lists that is needed. So whether that's something else entirely, I'm not sure. For now, we'll just throw on a basic aim point on this thing, and we'll move on from that. We'll definitely throw these scopes on a version of this rifle that can utilize them a little bit better. And you've got a standard magazine with an alternate reload animation or a faster reload animation. We'll do that one, and then we'll move on. You can't do anything with the charging handle, the pistol grip, can't do anything with that, and the handguard have to remain as they are right now. The stock, however, we can change. Right now, it is a marksman stock, which is what you get stock on this thing, like out of the console command factory. You can have this buffer tube. No, never mind. The buffer tube is going away. It's a BCM thing here. Notice how it's also marksman scope. So that means basically when you're aiming down sights, your scope will drift a little bit less. Less scope sway when you aim down sights. But there's no recoil compensating thing because if you go into the SOT mod stock, it goes to tactical, which is the prefix given by the reflex sight, which is usually taken over by the recoil compensating stock in the vanilla game. We'll go for the SOT mod here because it looks cool, and then we'll move on. You can throw a laser sight on the top of the rail like that. Take your pick. They both do the same thing. And you can throw a suppressor on the muzzle. There's no muzzle brakes or anything. It's only a suppressor or nothing. We'll throw a suppressor on, but I'll make sure to grab versions of this without a suppressor so you can hear this thing nice and loud. The damage slider, if you want to increase this thing's damage, it's about there-ish. It'll be sort of more on par with a handmade, probably an acceptable sort of damage level to increase that to. But if you want to chuck it up to 90, plus 90%, you get 350, which is going to crush everything in your path. Maybe not now, maybe later. And it's got some extra materials to attach to it if you feel like it, including Black 404, which adds a little insignia to the side of that. I've got no idea what that is. By the way, the textures look interesting in certain different bits of lighting. If I tilt the gun this way a little bit, the textures look really nice, but if you go this way, they don't look good. That just might be a Fallout 4 lighting system and not really anything the mod can sort of do about it. But they do look 4K, don't they, those textures? Anyways, you can get tan, black 404, 404, or it's just simply black. It looks like the 404 materials look to be a little bit of a higher quality, so we'll throw those on because why not? I'm using up my disk space, may as well make it look pretty while I'm here. There's one of our HK416s. Let's talk about getting more. Alright, so currently the only way to obtain this is through console commands, so bad luck console players, you're out of luck. Although, should there be a port of this on console one day, you might have some luck and they've added it to a chemistry workbench for crafting or level list or something. But to obtain this thing, first of all, you need to know what it's called, which is a HK416, so what you want to do is add in a couple of console commands. So first of all, you want to actually search for the particular form this is on, so you're going to type in help, space, HK416 because that's what it's called, space 4, that'll search for item forms in the game, and then wep, that'll search for weapon item forms. So if you input that, you'll get two different answers. You've got the weapon as a RON HK416. I've also got an extra one that I didn't know about called a HK416 mod 3. In order to add these to the player, what you need to do is type in player, full stop or period if you're American, add item, space, and then whatever code is in this brackets, then you can add in to your game. So right now it's F5005B7E, which I've got typed here. And if you want to add more of these into your inventory without having to type in this multiple times, you can press space after you put in that code, and you can type in any number you want, and that'll add the equivalent of that many rifles into your inventory like that. That'll probably crash the game if I added that many, so we'll just do 2 or something. Maybe 1. Excellent, there it is. If you're wondering what the mod 3 variant of these are, it's basically just a fully formed version just out of the factory of the console commands with a suppressor, but I've taken that suppressor off. And also it's got the 90% damage bonus, which might be a little bit too much, but you know what? We're gonna roll with it. And there's our collection of HK416s. Look out. Alrighty, so here we are outside of the Immersive Gunners Plaza once again, and here is our legally modded version of the HK416, and you'll notice right now with the damage numbers that have gone straight up. I received a complaint on the video that I posted that there's too much stuff going around on the screen with the floating damage numbers spreading all around and everything. Yeah, I could agree that that got a little bit obnoxious, so what I've done is I've altered it a little bit to make the numbers smaller and then for it to go just straight up, so hopefully they won't get in the way as much. So if you have any strong thoughts or feelings about that, I want your input. If it's too much, then we can turn it down again, but if it's just right, maybe it'll be okay. Also, another complaint was about the health bars above their enemies, but honestly that helps me see them, so that might be harder to convince me to go and remove. Anyway, so yeah, you've got the bashing animations, which comes out with a knife, but unfortunately in third person it's just a standard gun bash. Anyways, we've seen this thing in first person. Let's move on. This scope actually works now. I feel like it's slightly misaligned, actually. That's unfortunate, but on the version I looked at last night, this thing, it was just a nothing scope. There was no reticules or anything to utilize, so that's great. And this is the versions that are slightly overpowered, but loud and proud, so we'll use them when we actually get into open combat. For now, I think we'll utilize our sniper one, and we'll start by getting as many sneak criticals as possible. And also third person, yes, I forgot about that. I made the sniper one all tan, so you can tell at home exactly what that thing is. But yeah, it's a pretty good looking weapon. The textures are nice, and provided the modders are cool with the assets as they are right now, then I am happy to have this weapon in my hands. Anyways, so this one, it's got some sort of see-through scope system here, which means we can easily snipe at these guys from ages away. Try to take out that turret there. Don't want to get that suppression blur on screen. I've fallen down. I've leaned over too far. I've pushed myself over. Okay, that's fine. Let's continue. So it's not going to be blowing enemies away unless you decide to throw it up with extra damage, the extra 90% damage, I feel like it's pretty good right now. We're just getting standard vanilla game base damage, and despite these guys being, well, only taking half the damage they ought to because it's very hard difficulty, we're cutting through them pretty easily. Granted, we are getting a 4.4 times damage multiplier here, which is sort of flattering this thing's damage at the moment, but I think we'll be quite fine as we go along. Let's switch over to the automatic one now. They're getting kind of close. We'll beat them through sheer volume of fire. Don't think this will last too much longer, to be honest. I went for the lean there and hit W instead. We're a little bit clumsy here. I can't believe this has worked for so long. Okay, now we get to see this thing's true damage. Just make sure we actually hit the target there. Now, if we want to drill them in the head, that'll probably do us pretty good. But if we don't, then we'll be looking at a little bit of a reload between the time to kill there. Of course, if you don't want the weapon to get in your way whilst firing, you can utilize this thing in third person and then get stuck on a branch. That's helpful. And you could just see the reload animation in third person a little bit. Just a little bit. He two-fanged that Gauss rifle. That's amazing. Anyways, we'll take cover behind an explosive car, and we'll let them have a little bit in VATS. Why not? Come on, concentrated fire. Don't let me down. We'll throw a critical here because she's gone through a tree, which for 5.56 rounds, biggest enemy. Just ask all of the veterans from the Vietnam War. That's where they suffered under the power of the HK416, the larger calibers. They could go straight through the trees, but the 5.56s, no way, bro. Actually, I don't even think they were 5.56s. These are a different round than what is actually designed for the rifle, and that sort of didn't help them either. That's neither here nor there. It doesn't look like this particular scope is going to allow me to get knockdowns now, so maybe they removed that particular keyword in the transition to the new update, which means I'm a big fat liar. Shame. Anyways, let's move on to something a little bit more overpowered. So this is cranked up to that 90% extra damage, so it's kind of like Warfighter's Workshop levels of power. That gunner just died to full damage. Accidents happen. Gotta put some guardrail there, gunners, because if you don't, then you'll have your conscripts throwing themselves off the building in order to be like a big hero or something. So now we can sort of relax a little bit because this thing is just crushing everything. I'm not really struggling for damage here anymore. So I guess after we hose down that guy, we'll smooth over to this version. This has got one of those different see-through scopes, you see. Tactical has showed up. Unfortunately, we've attacked the Tactical, so he'll go down. And looks like the Rust Devils have shown up as well. They're doing that more and more. In fact, I did that last night when I assaulted this place. A little bit of extra cannon fodder. Now, none of these guys are going to be as tough as the gunners, so it'll probably be a one-shot kill for a lot of them, to be honest. Oh, yeah. Not quite that one. The Sentry Bot, he's nowhere near like the standard Commonwealth Sentry Bots, that's for sure. Let's move back over to the standard HK now. I don't think we're struggling in terms of damage, so we'll just keep on using this suppressed version and we'll finish the job as soon as we possibly can. Also, fun fact about the sprint reload thing, if I decide to reload this thing while sprinting in third person, it's an infinite cycle of reloads there. We're just fiddling with the weapon now because we're just that relaxed. You watch me turn the camera around, Kylie will be smiling. That's how relaxed we are in combat. So I think the only ones left are going to be this lot, who is currently hiding in their little lockbox here. I feel like I should go into the creation kit, find the Immersive Gunners Plaza mod, and just make that unlock so these guys sort of pour out instead of having like a door breach situation. Although, I could do like a Call of Duty thing, have a hit of jet and make it like a Call of Duty door breach, right? Where it's all, they all go in slow motion. That's something to think about. Anyways, so there we have it. That was the HK416 at Gunners Plaza. the combat music just sort of ended without having its little music track ended, and we're in pretty good shape. Energy shield's holding up. Good stuff. Alright, so Swan's over there. I'm going to start sniping at him with this particular rifle. He's a big target, so we're unlikely to miss. And by now, I think it'd probably be time for him to get the old sniper knockdown treatment. I guess we'll take out his friend there because he's moving a little bit faster. But from here, we can sort of dial in the headshots really easily, unless he's doing that. Although, we can just scalp him over the top of his little head shield there, so I guess that's working well. Is that a centaur? Oh no, it's a concept art centaur. They're creepy and weird. And in danger now. Let's move over to our super overpowered automatic version. Yeah, take that. And do that again, I dare ya. Now a rock, please. No, not yet. Oh, look, I missed a gunner. And now I'm in nerd rage, so, yep, 1,000 damage, yes please. Sometimes you gotta get damage to get damage. And, oh boy. What the hell is going on there? What am I looking at? No, that's not right. Surely that's not right. I've seen what the centaurs look like with their... I think the model's gone weird. Oh, wait, yeah, okay. So it looks fine now, but I think the walking animations are a little bit messed up. So they went with mutant hounds instead of that, instead of the centaurs. So, you know, there's no body horrors. There's just big green angry doggers running at you, which I think, I mean, they're cool, but I think the centaurs, as they were in the concept art, would have been a little bit more memorable, especially after we got the centaurs from Fallout 3 in New Vegas, because they were creepy the first time we saw them. Nope. Alrighty, let's start off by hosing them down with an automatic weapon. Maybe we'll use this thing a little bit in VATS, because I've been sort of sleeping on VATS thus far, so add that little bit of extra damage, get these criticals rolling in really fast, just to let concentrated fire pick up the slack. 4 criticals, I think that'll be fine. Unfortunately, we're getting a lot of ground, he's moving up a lot of ground in the pauses between these shots for the criticals, because it's got to be really slow. Bring caution. I see a Reaver back there. That one was not... Okay, he was not... He's actually a little bit more perceptive, although there's still daylight here, so I suppose that's fair. Now, we've got a backup plan when it comes to a situation where I'm going to get eaten by a giant ghoul like this, and it sort of built back over towards the settlement here, which normally it's getting attacked by gunners, but today, not quite. And what that means is we can absolutely fry this guy to the high hell with like 1 billion laser turrets. This was not even built for this particular... Actually, yes, it was. It was actually built for this particular purpose. Originally, when I was using my character before, I just duplicated the save and changed the face and changed all the names and stuff. I think I built this specifically to defeat this giant monster, and it's effective, I tell ya. A little bit of help from turrets. Look, you know what the weapon's capable of. If I was taking it on with a vanilla game assault rifle, I'd fall back to the turret grid as well, but I think you get the idea either way. So that there was the HK416 from the Mark 18 CQBR mod. If you'd like to see this thing in your game, check out the link in the description. Whether there's a version on this for Xbox, I doubt it, but I know I've done a HK416 before, so perhaps somewhere out there that mod still exists, and I'll find the Xbox alternative version to put in the description as well. But until then, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you later. Download this thing if you can. It's pretty fun.